Are you looking for a faster video? Well, today it's a live stream, and I know you're probably looking for a really nice and tidy, edited down video, but I have ways for you to make it faster. You can click that little gear on the YouTube settings right there on the video and adjust the playback speed, make me sound like a chipmunk, and it'll go a lot faster. You can also look and see if there's timestamps for this project in the description, and if you're on a desktop, you can hover over the time bar at the bottom of the screen and see if it's chunked up into chapters, and then that way you can go directly to the step you're looking for. And lastly, you can also tap on the screen on the right hand side of the video picture or on the left hand side to make the video jump ahead, forward or backward if you're on a mobile device. And you can adjust that amount in your settings so you can have complete control over how much it jumps. So if you are on a desktop, you can use the fast forward or the rewind, and that will make it go faster as well. You can also enable subtitles, and the little CC on the screen will enable closed captioning. That way, if I am a little bit harder to understand with that double playback speed, the subtitles might help you out. All right, well, I know that it's not a nice little edited video, but if you sew with me, we'll get there together and it'll be lots of fun. And now for the live stream. Happy sewing! Hi, I am alive. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Hannah. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Dylan. How's it going? How are you? Everything sound and look okay? Let me know. Let me know. I always fiddle with things, you know, over the weekend, and then we come back to whatever I've done. This is the jacket, but it's inside out right now, and it still looks pretty dark. I thought that maybe, why is this thing still moving around? So weird. It's like I have a ghost in here or something. Let me brighten that up a little bit. It is really, really smoky here, and my throat is definitely like dry. I wasn't even sure if I'd be able to stream, but my office feels pretty good in here. Hi, Sue. How's it going? Is that a little better? Maybe it'll look better when it's not inside out, too. I have it all zipped up. I was checking things out. So yesterday, I committed one of my biggest no-nos. I have this moratorium against anything like burlap or minky, fake fur, any of that. There's absolutely not allowed in my office. And I had one of my Patreon Zooms yesterday, and I was cutting up. I don't usually work on something during those because I would much rather focus on the conversation, and it's hard to do both. And I was cutting up this robe that my daughter left for her cat that he loves, and I was making it into a little bed, just really quickly. And one of the people was like, wait, you're cutting something fluffy. I know you don't like doing that. And I was like, oh, you know, it'll be fine. It's for the cat, all for the cat. I cannot regret something more because it just covered this jacket. Its jacket was over here, but then I went and I decided to low heat iron it. And I was over near the wool mat of the ironing thing, and oh my gosh. So, gosh darn it. There's pink fuzz everywhere. I think I got it all off the jacket. I had to I couldn't find a thingy, so I got some tape. Okay, good. Good, Nicole. Hi, Terry. How's it going? Hi, Paul. Welcome back. Oh, it looks so bright over there. I hope that's going to be okay, you guys. Wow. Really, Nancy? Hi, Malin. Yeah, it's pretty bad today. It's bad. Ollie's doing really good, but we've had a new development. So our other cat, Haku, they're buddies. They're totally get along. They're fine. I mean, they don't snuggle, you know. But I do feel they hang out together all the time. And so Haku sometimes doesn't come in at night. I think I've mentioned that. And he hasn't come in Sunday night, Monday night, or Tuesday night. And yesterday he wandered into the cottage and was like, oh, look at this. Well, this is like a little cat kingdom in here. Because it's pretty much just set up for us to sleep in there and for Ollie. So Ollie has his litter box and his food and water, and that's it. And Haku's like, and there's no dogs? Like, this is heaven. So we're regressing so bad. Like, our whole little plan is backfiring because we're now have 2 cats that have not living in our house. This morning, Haku jumped on the bed. He came in, asked to come in. So he asked to come in, and then he just jumped on the bed. And Ollie was like, oh, okay, well. So Michael and I are like, great, now we're stuck both sleeping out there forever. So, hi, Hannah. There's 2 Hannahs. How's it going? That's crazy you guys are getting haze. Yeah, it's in our house. Like, I hate it when it gets in the house. Like, your house is just never as airtight as you think it is. And we have this one window. It's beautiful. It's one of the windows in the bathroom above the tub, but it leaks. And like, I don't know if any showed in any of those pictures, but there was cardboard. I know everyone loves our bathroom and it's really awesome. And I'm not whining about like that. It's just that it has issues. And that's one of them, that it's not airtight, and so when it's windy, it whistles really bad, and it makes our dogs like talk about it constantly. So they're like woof woof woof, or running at. They just don't know where it's at, and so we have this cardboard in there to make that not happen. But it also means that it also lets in a lot of smoke. And last year, like, the tub was covered in ash. So the funny thing is, we're not seeing ash here. And that's really weird to me. So, anyway, I don't really want to talk about the fire. It's big. And the one I'm near is the Dixie. And we're pretty close, like 15 miles from it, I think. So, yeah, like, I can barely see. There's like a big field here behind the building next to me. And I can barely see the houses over there because of the smoke. But it also looks like it could be. It's not burning off, but the winds change. The winds change at night. So anyway, anywho, let's make sure the machine's set up properly. I did, sew a cat bed. Pretty badly too. But of course, like, Ollie ignored it all night. He was kind of like, huh, okay, yeah, that looks and smells familiar. And then Haku this morning jumped up on the bed and he was like, oh, this is nice. I was like, oh my God, Haku, you're really taking over. But Ollie has a fascination with Haku. Haku's older, so. All right, so here is the jacket. It's looking pretty good. It's in that funky phase where it's like, is it gonna work out? But I kind of looked at it really closely, and I thought I saw something there, but it's, I think, a thread. Made sure things are lining up, because at first I was like, this isn't lining up, but it's just kind of a funky spot right now. Because if you look at it here, it's lining up. We stitched, kind of did that clever thing right before we left on Saturday, where I just decided to try and see if I could anchor this flap to itself in here. And so I sewed up, looks like I got pretty high up there. There's about 1.5 inches right here that's not stitched. So I'm gonna do the same on this side now that we know that kind of works. Stop that. And I lightly pressed the jacket with a synthetic heat before I'm going to do that. So I did that already, and because I wanted to see, like, all right, how's this going to shape up over here? So here's this flap here. And so at the very end of the whole jacket construction, one of the very last steps you do is you're supposed to stitch in the ditch right here. And so I think that that's fine if you want to go that route. It doesn't show it as a stitch in the ditch in the picture. It shows it stitching right here next to it. And I like that idea, and I might still do that, but here's the deal. And so this stitch right here, I did early on. I understitched this facing to the inside of the jacket, forgetting kind of that this, I'd be stitching right on top of that from the right side. So if I do stitch through all layers here, I might have 2 bobbins here. So my other issue with this is that if this isn't perfectly lined up, I don't know, the stitch in the ditch thing isn't going to be in the ditch on this side. So that's why I decided to try this idea of just peeling it back here, taking the flap raw edges here and stitching them together inside the jacket so it doesn't show on the outside. So one thing I want to do is I'm going to kind of clip my flap here because I want to make sure that I don't get any torque lines or anything like that. So, hi Barbara. Hi Kathy, how's it going? Oh no, Terry. I'm sorry. Was it just a fitting thing or a sewing thing? You won't ever do it again, I bet. Hi, Dar. How's it going? All right. So I'm just doing this to kind of make sure, you know, best I can. And I think that I started from the bottom and went up last time. Maybe I'll do the same thing this time. Because, you know, I can actually get in here from all the way down here and see. I'm going to leave. I'm thinking about the hem already. This hem is pretty simple. You basically just turn it up and turn it under and you stitch it down. Like, simple as that. The zipper's well away from me. You don't have to worry about it. But of course, I'm already thinking about, like, well, could I finish this? You know? So I might leave this loose down here. I just think like it's a little far gone to be able to do that. So I'm just going to stitch this together right here. And because this is the one I understitched, I don't have much room in the seam allowance. My bad. That's why you let me experiment, right? You let me learn if it's actually going to work. So I won't be able to get it all the way up to the neckline, but I can get pretty far. You know, and I can look at this seam here and go, all right, you know, just make sure that this flap is staying across. I'm going to get up to this part right here. Just kind of peel it back. Can you guys see okay? Do you want me to just pull the camera down? I know it's in my face, but I feel like this helps on these darker fabrics. Hi, Libby, how's it going? Oh, did your daughter leave today? Okay. Now, my only worry about this is that if I don't get it, you know, this flap, so here's this flap, it's like nice and pinned flat, and I'm just peeling this back here, and I'm sewing on the seam allowances. The zipper is pushing my presser foot away, so maybe a zipper foot would have been a good idea here, but that would have given me barely any purchase on the fabric because I have very little seam allowance. So the worry I have right now is if I had to adjust this and take it out, it'd be kind of a pain. Because it'd be really hard to see my stitches in there. I'd probably have to do it like going up the seam. And there's so many threads here that, you know how that goes. Look at all these threads. This fabric is thready. I bet it was a pain in the butt in production. Oof, come on, stay on there, stay on there. I'm up at the top now. Let's see. Am I still on there? Barely, so I think that's about as far as I can go. This side is different than the other, so I know I can't get as far. Let's see. That just gives it so much more stability, stitching it like that. See that? It looks more like a traditional flap in there. All right, so. Hi, Vestigia, how's it going? It was a you thing. Oh, shoot, Terry. Hi, Martina. How's it going? Hi, Lydia. Welcome, welcome. Nice to see you all. All right. So it doesn't look like I got any twisting here. Not as attached right here, but it looks okay. and it doesn't feel weird. I will say, like, this neck seam is so thick that I considered like top stitching it down. I kind of want to do that, but it does add one more, you know, sealed seam there. Like, you know, I'm putting needle holes there. I got to remember that this is a waterproof jacket. And I might just look at the very end to see if I want to add that or not. Once the lining is in there, I think when the lining is in there, it's going to be pulling this whole thing in there. All right, so let's pull this up a little bit more. All right, so now let's see, I wrote myself a cheat sheet. Okay, I never top stitched the side seams. It's really funny that I totally missed doing that. So we're gonna do that now. And I press them towards the back. So I'm just pressing, I'm just stitching on the back side and just pressing the seam allowance towards the back. All right, one more. Jacket is quite big. It's not as heavy though as most projects I do that are this large, so that's kind of nice. I am having trouble getting this one snap fixed though. I'm hoping I can get it off and fix it. Oh, I did run out of bobbin. I knew it sounded different. Well, shoot. I knew to look and I didn't. Oh, so I have a little poll in my Instagram story thing. You have very little like space for text. So that's why I did the following slide, because someone asked me if I meant a knitting or sewing pattern. But I have a poll there. Hearts would like to sponsor a project, and I said, well, how about something with knits? I hate right before my bobbin runs out, sometimes the tension gets a little funky. So I was just checking that. So I'm taking suggestions, and that way I can give them a few suggestions. It just depends on like what they have available. You know, it's just like, you got to find the right pattern and right fabric. So if anyone wants to answer that, I would do that soon. Just give me any requests. And it's for a live stream. I got a few like wrap, which is funny because I think the last knit thing we sewed for them was the Alcott, right? That's a wrap, right? Sorry, I get like, I get alerts on my phone for certain things. Hi Esme, how's it going? Took her to the airport this morning. Oh. It's so fun, like, to see my daughter so happy, you know, and she starts her new job today, so it's so crazy. Okay, so oh, this is one thing I noticed. See, I have this chalk line here. So when I zipped up the jacket, I actually compared my facings were a little different from one side to the other. So I'm going to trim this one off. And then next, I think we're gonna put the sleeves on the jacket. It's gonna start looking like a jacket. So exciting. I feel like we have so much left to do, but honestly, there's one page of instructions after this point, and I think it's because you don't have to attach the lining to the cuff, and that, honestly, that is such a huge amount of, you know, work you don't have to do. Because that is a little bit of a tricky thing to do. Why does this feel thick? Oh, it's 2 layers. Okay. I got a little paranoid there. Oh, it's 2 layers because it's interfacing. Oh my, I was just a little bit nervous just now. Okay. Let's sew this back together. So I just trimmed my facing and now I'm just putting it back together. All right. Nice, Libby. It's those kinds of things that make us appreciate. Hi, Megan. How's it going? Okay, so yeah, let's put our sleeves on. This one is the left sleeve. This is the right. So this is the right jacket here. I'm wondering if this needs a easing stitch or not, so let's check it out. I'm assuming that there's a notch, or is this the underarm seam? Does it go to this? Let's check it out. Can I ease this in without an easing stitch? It might be a little bit drop shoulder, so it doesn't have a, oh yeah, that's totally doable without an easing stitch. And it looks like this notch must go to there. Okay, okay, I'm seeing some things that make me think that it's all connected. Let's go for it. 3/8 inch seam. Wish my top stitching matched the side seam top stitching, because it doesn't. Let's get that seam lined up. If you need any, you know, like help setting in sleeves that do take easing, I have a video for that. I have a couple, one with French seams and one not. And so if that was definitely when I was getting better at sewing, that was the one of the things that really struggled with, and then someone gave me this really excellent tip and I've used it ever since. Works great. And I love seeing people's comments on that video. Why isn't there any notches up here? I know there was a notch up here. Remember that? We had a notch up there. I remember it. I kind of want a notch. Is this, oh, I found it. I got lucky. Yeah, see, there it is, right there. Put it on this one first. Why didn't I notch this? That's really annoying. All right, and then this one, I'll use the fabric and the seam. It goes there, and then it goes there, right sides together. Yep, okay. Hi, Elena, how's it going? Nice to see you. I'm kind of excited about that North Star pullover we're starting tomorrow. And I have a Patagonia fleece pullover. We've had several in our lives. And I'm looking at the sewing and I'm like, how much effort do I spend to copy the sewing? Because I'm so curious how I could do some of it, you know? Where does this notch go, though? Like, I honestly can't tell where this notch goes. Because look at, there's the notch, and it's like an inch from here. None of this needs easing, so I'm kind of like, where does this notch go? Maybe I forgot a notch on the body. We know it's possible. Obviously, since I forgot the one on the sleeve. I'm totally having second thoughts, like, do I have this on the correct armhole? Let's make sure now. This is the left sleeve hole. This is the left sleeve. Yeah, okay, we're okay. I am not messing around with the sewing fairy today. Right, Penny? Imagine if Nancy Drew sewed. Oh my gosh. I loved Nancy Drew and other mysteries. I also read Trixie Belden, which I've never heard anyone else mention. But those Nancy Drew books, they have not really held well as far as modern technology goes, so it's kind of a crack up. This is actually really easy to set in. There's no easing at all. Like, it was a piece of cake. The only thing is I could not tell where any of those notches went. So let's just look at it and make sure I didn't put it in upside down or something like that, right? Yeah, I mean, that works. Oh, I really wish I would take the arms off this thing. There we go. All right, and we're gonna overlock that. I'm still actually thinking about how I'm gonna finish the armholes because I completely spaced adding enough seam allowance to put in flat felled seams, which I had planned on. My bad. All right, so you know what? I'm gonna raise this up for a second. I just want to make sure. You remember Trixie Belden too? Oh my gosh. I heard of Cherry Ames. Hi, Emily. But I don't think I read any of those. That does sound kind of familiar. I'm just going to make sure I didn't put the sleeve in a weird angle or something. It felt okay. It looks okay. I'm like, what is that? It's just, maybe it's not a very smooth line. Let's see. No, it's fine. All right. Yeah, that works. Okay. Just making sure. Where's the sleeve? Oh my God. There, it's right here. Hi, Shanika. How's it going? Oh. Did Trixie have a horse? Trixie is short for Beatrice, isn't it? Ooh, maybe that's what I'll call my dress form. Trixie. Aw. Do you call her M? That's so cute, Kathy. My family calls me Emmy. Oh, Cherry was a student nurse. I probably did not read those then. Oh, shoot. My daughter is calling. I hate missing her call right now. She'll remember I'm streaming in a second. I'm hoping everything's okay. All right. All right, so I feel like this seam would line up there. Okay, now why seems like my notches are almost lining up this time. But look at that. Yeah, okay. Okay. Oh, Dead. I haven't watched that. After watching that one kind of Western series on Netflix, and it had the actress from Downton Abbey in it, which I started watching by accident because I wasn't interested at all, and I really got sucked into that. Like, it was a really good little mini series. It made me want to watch Deadwood. I've never been into Westerns, but you guys got to understand, my grandma loved Westerns so much, and I grew up every day watching Bonanza. And my grandma did like babysitting for my mom because she was a nurse, and so I was with my grandma a lot. We were buddies, and so we watched a lot of Dodgers games, and a lot of Westerns, you name it, like all kinds. And then my mom, when she met my stepdad, he was super into Westerns too, like the Rifleman. And so on vacations, we'd go to ghost towns all over like California region, you know, in the Southwest kind of thing. And I don't know, I just feel like I have Western fatigue, you know, and a lot of my friends played Red Dead Redemption 2, and like one of my good friends loved the first one, and I was like, yeah, I don't know, like, that's for me. But then people were like, the story's amazing, you have to play it. It takes place in Colorado, and I have to say, I did watch a lot of like people's funny outtakes from that game because the horses were a little glitchy in the beginning, and I would sit there and just watch these glitchy short videos things for that game, which just crack me up, you know. So, all right, here we go. I got 2 sleeves on. Let's try it on. Oh, there's a movie too? Oh, Nancy. That's interesting. Well, she didn't follow up with a text. That's what makes me a little nervous. My husband has pretty long arms, so I think this is going to be good. Let me put the full screen on. What do you guys think? Sorry if the microphone's probably getting bonked by it, huh? It's feeling pretty good, honestly. I kind of like this jacket. I literally have a navy blue Kelly Anorak waterproof jacket hanging up on my rack that I've never gotten to wear. So I think I'm okay with navy blue waterproof jackets. Okay. So let's overlock the armhole seam. I don't think I'm going to be able to get away from doing that, you know, and so we will still finish the armhole, I think, a little bit differently when we put the lining on. That's why I have the yellow thread there, because I might need it. I'm not sure yet. That is so dark. Okay, that's what I thought it'd look. Let me, let's brighten it up. Sorry about, just don't look at the machine. That's as far as I can zoom it in. All right, let's do this. Oh God, there's pink fuzz in this machine. Get all these threads towards the seam allowance. Why is it, oh, okay, I have it. No, I want, why is it going so, there we go, okay. I had it too dense. That's funny, the dial must be the opposite of what I think. Because I was kind of wondering yesterday why it was so close together, and I just figured it was the thickness of the fleece. Because I thought I'd put it on its longest and widest, and I apparently put it on a really narrow setting. Oops, stay in there, stay in there. Now it's a lot of jacket. Careful with all these threads and thicknesses. Okay, we have our armhole. Yeah, the stitch doesn't look good. Look, there's the pink fuzz. Oh my God. All right. Next. All right. Oh, look at this. Thread is not in the tension disc. What the heck? I feel like that's the second time I've seen that happen. Maybe that's why that stitch looked kind of funky. I'm not really trimming anything off. I'm just neatening up this edge. This fabric is super thready. Keep it. Right. Thanks, Esme. Yeah, it's turning out good. I hope he likes it. Another patootie fashion show. All right. So we're going to do the lining now. I'm going to change my thread color here. This would be the perfect kind of thread to use those mesh covers that you get with your serger, because this stuff just like starts falling off the cone, you know? Just a thought. I always forget to use those things. I think I have one handy. Oh, wow. It came unknotted because it's so slick, but I made it all the way almost, so that's good. Aw, thanks, Nancy. Let's hope it continues to look like that, right? You know, it's like when you're sewing something like this and you don't get to sew a few to try, it's almost like you're trying to sew a perfect prototype, which is, those two words just shouldn't even go together, you know? All right, let's see. I have a size 18 needle in here. I've really monkeyed with the seam, the tension because of this thread, and it looks pretty good. Big needle holes. I mean, like I can kind of see the, it doesn't look like big needles holes. It's just the bobbin is kind of tight. Or maybe it's the top's kind of loose. All right. So I'm using this stretch woven ripstop. Doesn't matter that it's stretch woven though. I just liked it. So there's a pleat at the center back here. And I think you can do this a few different ways, but in general, you can just, you know, fold it over like this. Like just fold it one way. I'm pretty sure that that's all you do. You just get the notches together like that. I'm gonna stitch it down. Line all this up. Make sure your pleat is perpendicular. Makes a difference. Even if the pleat isn't, you know, angled like that, it still makes a difference. I'm gonna put my, so let's find our new center. This kind of thing is kind of confusing where your center ends up being, because we marked our center. Well, it's kind of bright, huh? Okay. All right, those patterns that hearts will have. Oh, that is still my center. That's funny. Why did I not think it? Oh, no. This is my new center. Okay. Yeah, someone, I'm pretty sure it was you. No, it wasn't you, Penny. It was Christina. She also requested a Henley, and I was like, okay. It's honestly been really great to see people's requests, even if I don't get to do them with hearts, because that's good for me to know. I should ask more often, you know? All right, so we're gonna do the, oh, is there? Just realized I could look at the fabric. All right, so let's do the shoulders. This fabric isn't very thready at all. They don't really line up, do they? I'm going to line it up at the neckline. Because I know that at the armhole we already are going to be probably trimming it or doing some more detailed sewing step. So I'm going to leave the excess going towards the armhole, because the neckline here is one long seam going around the facing. All right, now we're going to do the side seams. I think I'm going to stitch the seam allowance down so it's nice and flat. I think it looks nicer. It behaves better when all your seam allowances are just nice and crisp on things like this. Layers, you know, and linings. So I have this crazy notion to like maybe leave an opening. I'm pretty sure I can't do that though. I cannot sew the armhole, the lining, oh man, the lining armhole. This thread is so much lighter weight. Oh my gosh, my whole spool just came up. Let's turn it over. It's probably stuck on the thing. Because it's a circle, the armhole is a, you know, circle. You can't really sew the armhole right sides together with the lining at this stage. I'm wondering, like I would love to do that. I kind of got to get in there. I haven't sewn one of these in a while. So let's get there and we'll see, whoops, what we think we can do. You can hand sew it, but you know how I feel about hand sewing. So, and I also love finding machine solutions for things like that. Yeah, jersey plackets, they aren't anything to be trifled with, mainly because the fabric is so unforgiving if you rip it out. I feel your pain on that too. But at the same time, they also have a little bit of flexibility since they're a little bit stretchy, as long as you don't overstretch it, you know, and then you have this like stretched out section of knit fabric next to non-stretched, and you can really tell. All right, do I take a chance and stitch down the side seams? I think that I just really, like I would have had to set this jacket up a little differently to be able to machine sew. You can machine sew it, but just just not like right sides together and then turn, you know? But let's check it out. That's why you don't need to backstitch your top stitching, because what if you are taking it out? Plus it'll get stuck in a side seam anyway, the end, so you don't need to. Can you hear this fabric? It's chunky. All right. So we have the lining going to the facing, and we have these armholes. So let's just kind of look at it in here, right? So could I do this so that it was right sides together? Okay, so now one of the problems with this is that it puts the seam allowance of the sleeve, if you were to be able to do this, you know, right sides together, not technically right sides together, since the sleeve doesn't have a lining, so basically you're doing it to this sleeve opening, right? So what we're aiming for is that this is going to clean finish this edge, right? This is the armhole, right? So let me darken it a little bit. Yeah, Libby's looks really cute. That's the one you made for a dress, right? Because I haven't stopped thinking about that dress. So now classically your seam allowance of your sleeve goes towards the sleeve, right? Which means that you have only 3/8 of an inch of this allowance here, right? You need to line it up like this. And so this is really how it wants to sew, like this, right? So, you know, could you just overlock this edge and then stitch it to the armhole? Yeah, you can. So what I'm toying around with right now is, how could I clean finish this so that it looked a little nicer? So the problem with this is that it puts the seam allowance towards the body. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It just is sometimes the armhole circumference where that seam allowance is pressed towards is longer than your seam allowance, and so then you kind of get into some tricky issues. It also makes the sleeve fall differently, not in a bad way, just differently. Not fall differently, but it makes the seam look different, because right now, if we press the seam allowance towards the sleeve, you know, it makes this nice, smooth little bump, you see, and we press the seam allowance towards the body, it almost makes it a little more concave. You see that? My hand is not touching anything. Here, there we go. So it just looks different. Suit coat, sportswear, you know? So what do we want? So we still need to sew our lining to this whole long seam, right sides together. But what about, like, could we? I mean, I would like it enclosed. What do you guys think? But I just don't know. I don't have much seam allowance to work with, is what I'm worried about right now. So let's see, where's the, this is the shoulder seam, right? Okay. So could I sew this like this, right sides together, right? And then how would I get this here? I'm wondering if I could sew part way up my facing and then continue on. I'm so tempted to try this. I think the seam allowance would sit against the body okay. I don't know, what do you guys think? You guys have any opinions? What is the worst that can happen? All right. Yeah, so probably need, no, I don't need that, that's fine. Oh my gosh, it's so much jacket. Let's see if I can get it up there. Look at these threads. They're really having a party here. I can't wait not to see these threads. Okay, so if I do it this way, that's the underarm, right? This is the underarm seam, like this. And the shoulder is right here. I mean, let's give it a shot. I'm too curious. Oh, nice, Livy. You didn't do like the multi thing? Or do you have lots? You probably had lots of garments to share. Ooh, I'm looking forward to seeing it. All right, so. I could get into a bit of trouble here, so you might want to fast forward if you're following this as a tutorial to see what I ended up going with. Pretty confident I can get this to work. So basically I'm putting the right side of the lining to the inside of this sleeve. I still kind of need to sew this on the seam line though, you know? We're sewing this into the seam allowance. I really want to sew on the sleeve side, but it's tricky. I'm just thinking and fiddling, thinking and fiddling. Well, you trim back the armhole lining. I only have 3/8 of an inch seam. Then you would serge it to the existing armhole. I could serge this to there. I feel a little bit like it's unnecessary since the armhole is already serged, and this, when it's done, my hope is when it's done, it looks like this on the inside, right? It's a clean edge like this, right? This is the sleeve, this is the body. So now if I trim this, I would lose all my seam allowance. So yeah, you could, like I said before, you could just sew these together like this. I don't know why it's not stated that way, but you could just do this. I could have just put this in when I serged the whole thing. You know what I mean? Just serge that into the, once you sew that seam, right? Once you sew the lining to the facing, then you could just stitch this on in the same seam and then overlock it. But you would see this overlocked seam on the inside of the garment. It's in the armhole. It's not a big deal. And then serge the armhole. So I could serge the armhole right now, but it seems unnecessary. Yeah, I do, Kathy. Did you ask me that last time? Because absolutely. I'm always adjusting my foot pressure. It's right here. I like a lot of pressure because that way I can really pull on my garment in the machine. I like to hoik on it. So what I'm trying to accomplish is this edge looking truly clean finished where we don't see any of the serging on the inside of the garment. Like this. So it's kind of tricky, but I feel like it's possible, right? All right, like I kind of lost my spot here now. Let's see. So it has to go like this. It has to line up like this. So basically, if you're trying to do this, you're putting the lining right side to the sleeve side, like this. And I'm gonna try and sew this from the sleeve side. It's gonna be a little harder, but that's so that I can see my existing seam here. I'm gonna sew it right next to it. This is gonna be a little tricky. At least the good news is kind of that my thread is really easy to see because it's gonna be gold on the navy blue inside the seam allowance. Here's my shoulder, right? It better be my shoulder. I still have this little extra here. Let's just get rid of that and blend it in right now. See right there? Yeah, vest, yeah, definitely. It's the fact that I still need to sew this to the facing. I know I'm making this look like pretty easily possible, but we're not out of the woods yet. Yeah, I know, right, Libby? Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like some of those couture things aren't as couture as you think. I like it, Penny. I always forget that that's David Bowie because I get it confused with the Freddie Mercury. I'm sewing this right next to the original seam line on the jacket. It's actually not too hard so far. Yeah, the lining and the armholes need to be connected to the armholes no matter what. I'm not trying to get out of doing that. I'm just trying to make it clean finished on the inside. This isn't a couture jacket, right? Like, the sleeves aren't even lined. Yeah, right, Esme. I kind of figured you didn't know exactly, but I think your method would work great too. It's just, I'm just wanting to try this. So, this may not work. I spent a lot of time working on stuff like this at one point, and I got pretty good at figuring out what wouldn't work. You know, it didn't mean that I still wouldn't go, but it's gotta work. And I would try it, and I'd spend, 6 hours in the design room sewing weird prototypes. Sewing floor supervisor was kind of nosy in a good way because she wanted to know, what are we working on up there? What kinds of things are we gonna throw at her floor, the sewing floor? So she would check in, and she really liked the process, and she was naturally just really good at understanding certain things, and she could also kind of foreshadow certain issues, All right, so now we have, look at that, nice clean armhole. Right? So see that? Nice and clean on the inside of the jacket, except for all the frickin' threads. But she would sometimes look at my experience and she'd be like, that's not gonna work. And sometimes they would, and she'd be like, ooh, I was wrong on that one, So she was never like critical. It was kind of fun. It was a fun challenge. I'm like, I know this can work. And then sometimes I'd be like, yeah, you're right, that doesn't work. All right, so could I still get in here and sew this facing right sides together? I actually think I can. I think it's gonna be hard. I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous. Let's do this armhole. I really want to sew the facing, but honestly, I think I should do both armholes and then fiddle with the facing. Yeah, but Emily, it still needs to be tethered at the armholes. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm already worried about that. And whatever we do, Emily, I'm already worried about that because this lining doesn't hang free of the armholes. So the instructions tell you to finish this edge. So say we follow the instructions. Finish this edge. So basically overlock it, zigzag it, whatever you want. And then attach to the armhole. That's what it says. Like literally. I'll read it to you word for word. And they say you could. I like to hand sew. That's what it says. There we go. Okay, step 30. All right, we'll start at step 29. Fold the pleat on the back lining and baste along the top edge of the pleat. Check. Sew the lining together at the side seams, right sides together. Neaten the arm's eyes with a serger or zigzag. All right, you with me? Press all the seams and the pleat. I didn't do that. I top stitched them instead. Press the seam allowance at the arm's eye to the wrong side. All right, so meaning you're folding your armhole seam allowance towards the wrong side, like you're kind of hem it, right? All right, and then now step 30, sew the lining to the facing, that big long thing along the whole perimeter of the jacket. Fold the seam allowance towards the body and press the seam. All right, that's for the facing. All right, here's the step. Sew the lining to the arm's eye, hiding the arm's eye seam allowance behind the lining. I prefer to do it by hand, but it can also be done on the sewing machine. That's it. That's all you get, okay? And then here is the sketch. That's it. For the whole page. So that's why I'm kind of like, well, do we have to hand sew? I'm not trying to be rebellious. I just think that there's always a way to finish things, you know, with the machine. All right. So let's keep going. I think we got this. Like I said, the big thing I think of is that you are pushing your seam allowance towards the body rather than towards the sleeve. All right, so same thing. I'm going to do this from the sleeve side. And if you're trying to do this yourself, this is the sleeve. This is the right side of the lining, and that's how I'm putting it together. This is the body. And I'm stitching it on the sleeve. I'm starting at the underarm so that I know that that underarm seam matches. Now, it's going to be a little tricky to get in here. I'm getting nervous. We got this, right? Sewing fairy speak, for now or forever hold your peace. Okay, I got it under there. I got a nice firm pressure on my presser foot because that makes it a lot easier. And we're just gonna stitch it on. Stitching it on isn't hard because there's no easing in this sleeve, thankfully, which is great. I mean, great for sewing, you know. I'm sewing it just, I'm staying inside the seam allowance of the seam here, and I'm sewing it just to the right of it. And the reason I'm doing that is because I don't mind that I'm not using up the entire seam allowance of the lining. I think that might be kind of good because I'm not sure how it's going to react. And I'm using a yellow thread, so I don't want that obviously to show on the outside of the jacket. All right, where's my shoulder seam? Because I feel kind of far away from it right now. Is this my shoulder seam? Yeah. Wow. Really? Okay. That's a lot to ask. Come on. Why is it so far away? All right, it's getting a little tight, but here we are. This is our last section here. There's the notch. I can see it from the sleeve right there. I think the hand sewing suggestion is because people won't want to do this, because you haven't seen what I have to do for the next step. It's going to be hard. A little, not hard, but it's going to feel like a struggle, even though it's going to probably work. And this isn't how you would normally probably do this. You might in a factory, actually. Anything to get out of hand sewing it. All right, so there we go. All right, so now let's hope everything's still on track. Here we go. So now we need to sew our facing here to the lining. And this is probably, we're gonna have to probably stop and start a few times. I think what I'm gonna do is go from the top, the center back, and go down, because I'm not gonna be able to really tell if I'm getting things misaligned on that whole long stretch of center front, but I can at the top. So let's just get the top, kind of the hard part, kind of sorted out. So here is my facing here, right? It's the curve, and then there's a notch right here. And so I'm gonna center my facing right here to it, just like this. And I'm gonna start, I'll just start right here. Why not? We'll just start right here. It's a good starting point. We're gonna try and get as far as we can, but look, we're going through the spot between the shoulder and the armhole, okay? Oops. All right. That's not quite a 3/8, is it? I'm being shy about it because of my label, and I need to not do that. I'll just do it for a second there. It's because I don't really want to take all that out now. All right. Okay, wish me luck. All right, here's my shoulder seam. So I'm gonna line those up. I kind of wish I would have top stitched this shoulder seam with this facing. Definitely sew this at the 3/8 inch seam allowance. Otherwise it won't all line up. You don't want to get yourself into a pickle with this. The instructions are accurate, and I think they're just like really simple instructions, when I think that you might feel a little bit like, wait, what? You know, like, I need a little more information. And I think a lot of people probably just hand sew it because they're doing one. All right, so I can still I'm still going here. I don't want any of this to get stretched out. It'd be really easy to do that because one of these is on the bias. It's gonna be magical when we turn it all the right side though, all the right way. I hope it is. Okay. Try and get those edges lined up. All right, I'm gonna stop there. So there we go. And then I'm gonna continue on this side a little bit. Okay. All right, seam allowances of the shoulders, still pressing towards the back. Make sure you line up that seam on the seam line, like I'm always saying. You guys see okay? I'm pretty excited to see it after this step. All right, I'm pulling it through this shoulder area, this little hole here in the jacket. It's not a hole, but you know what I mean, like that little pass through of, like in the shoulder here. See how much further I can get. Inch by inch, making sure all my layers are nice and flat. You can try and pin something like this. I think, honestly, that would really be aggravating to pin this first or clip it. I would probably go for it, obviously, huh? All right. So let's see here. This is what we have so far. Look at that. Looking good so far. Clean, finished. What is this? Is this a tuck? Oh no, that's a crease. Oh my God. Okay, so now we only have, how far did we get? Oh, we got pretty far, look at that. We're right here. We got this, no problem. No problem. All right. I knew it would work. Okay, so I'm gonna continue on, and I'm just walking this. I'm kind of curious, does this end lined up with the facing? I'm pretty sure it does, or it's probably supposed to, so that's great. Okay, we got this. Yeah, it's looking good. No problem. I've trimmed one of those facings, remember? Don't be hasty, Sarah. Get all these threads in the seam allowance. Sorry, it's so dark. Might be able to lighten your screen too, if you ever find it too dark. Okay. I'm kind of curious, where is this landing? I don't see any notches. I'm hoping I didn't miss them. Okay. Right now I'm thinking, well, I hope the other side is as far off as this one is. But honestly, it might not be far off because I'm pretty sure that the hem, it's supposed to fold along the hem there. But let's see, right? Okay, so again, let's turn it. So there we go, that's that seam. Yeah, it's looking pretty darn good. Okay. See that? I don't think that's pulling. It does look like it, doesn't it? But this is what it looks like when I turn it inside out. It's clean. Waistcoats, meaning like vests, will... Yeah, I mean, vests are kind of funny because I feel like you sew a lot of vests at a certain stage of your sewing, you know, comeuppance. And with a vest, though, you can leave the lining unstitched in the side seam right here, like a little section, and you can sew the whole thing on your machine and even just edge stitch this shut. That is totally acceptable. Yeah, right? Exactly. All right, so now let's finish this side now. And let's walk it and see, do I have about the same amount that's off at the end? Oh, even more on this side. I did trim one of these though. So if one is more than the other, that does make sense. Okay, so let's get all these threads. God, these threads. I have to switch. See, the reason I don't clip them a lot is, you can totally clip it. Oh, hi, Thurl. What an interesting name. Thank you. That's really nice of you. Are the alerts off? Where's the alert? There it is. Aw, thank you. I really appreciate that. You can trim all these threads, and you guys, there's no good reason why I'm not, except the fact that I've sewn a lot of thready things, and eventually it's like one of those things that kind of drives you crazy, and you're just like, oh my God, these threads. But I just kind of, and it really bugs me. Like, I really like, you see me, I trim my threads, and I like neat and tidy sewing, but when it's bad like this, I sometimes just suck it up and ignore it, and kind of just push it out of my brain and just sew it, because I can spend half my life trimming, and they just come right back. So really my goal gets to just get it in the seam so you don't have to look at it and it's not bugging you. It's gonna stop unraveling once it's not getting any friction or handling on it, and then that way, you know, then maybe you go back and trim it if it really bugs you, or if it's like threads that you're feeling through the fabric, like you're feeling the chunk of the threads through, because I definitely have sewn projects like that too. So no, thank you. It's really nice of you. I haven't seen you here before. It's always a nice surprise. All right. Am I a little worried about this? A little bit. Yeah. Because look at that. I'm pretty sure this lining is supposed to go to about right here, because this is the hem that turns over it. So let's just make sure nothing's pulling funky. And let's check it out. Let's see. How did our experiment go? I'll turn it inside out. How's that? That way we can really see how it's hanging. Feeling, it's definitely, this cotton ripstop definitely gives it some oomph. There, let's raise the camera up a little bit. Yeah, it looks really nice. Look at that, it's nice and clean. I think that if you wanted to stitch the lining towards, does it go towards the body? I think it goes towards the body. Yeah, towards the body. You still could. You're gonna have to like pick up and start over again, but you could totally do it. And I'm gonna probably do that because I really like my seams being permanently pressed, you know, and Topstitching does that. So I think on the camera this looks really rumpled, but in real life it doesn't look like that. The light from the window casts a lot of shadows, but I can show you guys. Oh. Well, that's not even, I was gonna show you on the face cam, but that didn't help. That didn't prove my point. So anyway, there you go, all the way around. Oh, look at my label, it's sewn crooked. Oh no, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just an optical illusion. Oh, and then if we press that seam allowance towards the lining, it's gonna do this to my label. It's gonna flip it up. So maybe in this case, I will stitch the lining towards the facing. You can do that, that's fine. It means that the facing is probably going to, it could ripple here, because remember this piece right here, because it was a curve like this, and you're folding it up onto itself, it might do this, right? Because the perimeter edge, cut edge of that facing is longer than what you're folding it to. But I don't think through this fabric it would show. You know, like certain fabrics, like say you did a really nice jacket and the lining fabric was a really lightweight, you might see those ripples. But don't put your label there, be more clever about it maybe, you know. Oh, you know what would have been nice? An inside chest pocket. Wow. I really want like an inside chest pocket now. Wouldn't it have been nice? We could have even done a zippered one. Well, snap. Learn from me. Okay, so any other places we want to see inspected? Let's look at this right here. So this, since this is attached at the armhole here and the side seam, we know that this is hanging about right. So look at how much longer it is there. Could I have prevented that? So I'm not sure. You know, actually, I think what it is you want this to be up like this. This probably should have lined up with the facing, I admit. Okay. So if that lines up with the facing, then your hem goes like this right over it like that. You do want a little blousing in your lining. This makes it comfortable. It's not too late to add it, right? It couldn't get more awkward to sew, right? So, he's left-handed, so I could put it on this side. Yeah, isn't this a great contrast, Shanika? I love it. It came in like all these autumn colors, like a rust, this golden color. Oh, what were the colors? It was like 4 colors. It's from Maker's Fabric, and it says Japanese cotton stretch ripstop. I got the rust color for some pants. Yeah, right, Barbara? Exactly. Thank you. Yeah. I always forget that. And then I was like, wait a minute. Why would the grain line? Because you probably can't see, but since it's a ripstop, you see the texture there? It's got that ripstop texture, which is really nice. This is a really nice fabric. My husband was like, yeah, I like that. So, yeah, I could see that it was like hanging down a little bit. But don't you think this should have matched? I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure that should have matched. It doesn't look like it's hanging funny though. Let's try it on inside out. The true test. Try on your jacket inside out. Ooh, it has such good weight. Full screen, there it is. I'm like, what am I looking for? Oh, I feel like I'm about to direct traffic at an airport or maybe a boat ramp. It feels very maritime to me. What do you guys think? No. There we go. Yeah, I think like... I got a little too much hair lately. How's it look in the back? Does it look okay? I can't see it. All right, let me get some fabric and we'll make a little pocket. I don't think I can do, could I do zippered? Do I have fabric? Oh yeah, I do. Do I have a zipper? Ooh. Wouldn't a brass zipper be kind of cute? I don't mean cute, but you know what I mean. Oh, I don't have anything in this color. This is the only thing I have remotely resembling. I think... I mean, I have these, but they're kind of chunk-a-lunk. Let's see here. I have so many invisible zippers. You know when you go, oh, I never have these. And so then you're like, never again. And then you buy 50 million of them and you're like, wow, I haven't needed one of those in too long. Okay, this is what I have. Okay. Hi, Kate. How's it going? Okay, you guys could hear my inner monologue over there, right? Okay, so this is what I have. Yeah, machine, there we go. I have these, am I doing a zipper? Ah! Okay. Let's make this take longer. We're so close to being done, but let's add a layer of complexity that might ruin it. Let me figure out where it needs to go. I think one of my favorite you know, maybe I'll just do a patch pocket. I could, Beverly. Hi, Beverly. How's it going? That's what I know. I just went and got some zippers. Okay, so here's my wimpiness. I'd have to make pattern pieces for the inside. It's already 12:30. I'm hungry, you guys. Yeah, exactly, Libby. Hi, Martina. Well, I'm kind of trying to figure out, is that what I want to do? So it would go, he's left-handed, so I feel like putting it on this side would be smartest. So here's the deal. If I put a zippered pocket in, and you guys, it's actually not too hard. It's really the pocket bags that I need to figure out because, well, we'll do it. Let's do it. You guys are all excited about it, and you know I can't disappoint you. This is I showed you guys how to do this recently. What was that on? Was that on that was on the men's chinos that we just sewed. Let's pull my dress up. Okay. So if I were putting this, if I were using it, okay, it's kind of far in. This is kind of far. So we could do a vertical zipper right here, you know. This one's narrower. We could do a little vertical zipper. And I say about like right here, it should be where it starts. I'm going to put a pin on the lining only. All right. Okay. It does good, I'm glad. The back, I can't tell. Feels good. Nothing feels like it's pulling, so that's nice. So we could put a vertical zip pocket and then even tether it at the side seams. I have to think about this. We can even tether it here too. All right, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of draft it after I sew it. Okay, so do I have enough fabric here? I kind of do. I mean, I have enough for one piece, and then we need two. I'm thinking. So you could draft this with one layer of fabric if we had done this before we attached it to the body. And then because what you could do is cut your hole and turn it back, stitch the zipper, and then just top stitch a piece of fabric behind it. That boat's sailed, so we can't really do that. I don't want to take all this apart. But this just means I don't quite have enough fabric to do the whole pocket in this. Let me find something. I have to find something that's pre-washed, you guys. You know? Oh, I know. Wait, let's see if I have enough. Dang it, I want the yellow one. You have no idea what I'm talking about, I know. Okay, I'm going to use this. Okay. I'm going to use my It Has Pockets fabric. And now I'm getting, actually, let's come over to the serger. Emily, yeah. You could. So meaning you would assemble the whole zipper pocket. Yeah, you could totally do that. So you would start the between nearest strip on the top and the rest of it. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Emily, that's exactly what Barbara just described. But where's the fun in that? Yeah, that's what I just got, Penny. I just got this thinner fabric. So let me draw what I'm thinking about. Here's the facing line. I'm thinking of a zipper like this. Here's the side seam and the armhole. You wouldn't see the pocket at all because we're classy that way. But you could totally go like this. And top stitch it on like a patch pocket. If you go this route, if you're someone like, I want to do the patch pocket, because actually I think that this feels really sturdy too. You're going to want to add a piece of fabric at the end and the beginning of your zipper so that you can turn under the edges and do a patch pocket. You can't fold your zipper back on itself, so just note that. You could also bind the perimeter. I always got to squeeze in some binding in there. All right, so I'm just going to cut this big chunk off. Okay. I can't believe I'm doing this. Maybe I should just at least take this out to there. I think that I will. I think that would just be, it's just easier to do that, you know? Let's be nice to our future self here. All right. All right, Barbara. Nice seeing you. Thanks for stopping by. Okay. Set it all up. We're going to use the Chaco liner, and I think that this probably needs to be, the opening probably will need to be about a 6-inch hole. And I say that because even say that your, did my ruler just fall? Oh no, it's right there. So say that this is as far as you can open your zipper right here, okay? I'm just gonna give you an example. This is as far as you can open your zipper. And then I'm going to mark it at 6 inches too. You have to account for the zipper head. So see that? You lose like a 1/2 inch right there. And say you want to put your wallet in there, you know. So just make sure you account for the length of your zipper, because some of them are kind of chunky. And make your finished opening with that in mind. Add a little bit for that, because usually a pocket opening is about 5.5 inches wide. It's pretty universal unless you're talking about someone with very, very small hands or very, very large hands. You can see that most people can get away with a 5-inch opening or 5.5 inch, and something with these zippers, you know, because it's kind of stiff and boardy, it just feels like it's more constricted. So this opening right here is 6 inches finished, okay? So then let's put our, we're gonna put a box in here like we're doing a welt pocket. And this is my seam line right here. Meow. Right? We can see our stitch lines here. I'm going to keep it away because remember this has to fold back. So let's see. I want it to finish there. I want it to finish there. Yeah, that works. All right, and so which zipper am I going to do? I think I'm going to do that tan one that I've lost now. Here it is. There is lots and lots and lots of heated debate in design rooms for outerwear about if your zipper should close up or close down. And it is kind of funny to me because I don't know, like people get really heated over it. So it's there's a few different things, and I think like this argument is mostly about when you are talking about a pocket, like a hand pocket or something that's on the outside of a garment. And there's logic to both arguments. Basically, if your zipper zips up, what happens is, say you forget to zip your pocket all the way up, right? And there's the bottom and this is the top. Hopefully, even if your zipper is a little bit up, it creates more security for whatever the contents is, you know, sitting down here, right? But it's so much easier to zip your pocket when you get to pull down like this. Zoop, like that. That's faster. And so say it's on your shoulder or something like that. When you go like pull it towards you, the whole sleeve kind of comes with you, and when you go away, it's a little tauter. So you can see why people really argue about this, and people get really heated over it. It's like the whole pineapple on pizza thing, or which way the toilet roll paper should go. You're just lucky none of you probably had to deal with this argument, because we don't need one more argument like this in the world, because it's kind of an annoying one. I always liked the zipper zipping up and opening down, because I like the idea that, oh, if you don't do it all the way, at least you've added more security here. If you've forgotten to zip your pocket, it doesn't matter if it's easier to zip it down. That's my rationale, but I've definitely been swayed on the other way. So that's just a little bit of stuff to think about when you're talking about zipper pockets, especially on the outside. I have a feeling my husband would put in this pocket his glasses or his wallet, maybe his phone. You know, those like things that you're most worried are gonna fall out. This jacket doesn't really need more pockets. Holy heck, this thread is so small. Okay. All right, and so it looks kind of straight. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna stitch around this box. We're gonna do this the quick and dirty way. I'm gonna stitch around this box. I'm gonna get rid of this. Oh, those stick to my magnets there. I'm so happy. I need less stuff here. I need you guys gone. I made my square here, or rectangle, about a 1/2 inch wide, like a fat 1/2 inch. And I made it 6 inches long. You started your bias band neck on the inside instead of the outside. Well, I love starting on the inside of things and finishing on the outside, but I can't, yeah, I wouldn't rip it out either. I like that Terry's like, I'm gonna cut this now. So we're gonna cut this. There's so many ways to design this pocket. I'm going for a success right now, but at least a success that still gives me a nicer functioning pocket. All right, and now we're gonna iron this back. There we go. Ooh, that is bright. Didn't need to change my thread. That's kind of nice. Don't really need the serger now. Let's do it from this side. How's that look? Is that a little bright? Yeah, true penny. Oh, so you don't see any of that. Yeah, you wanted to, yeah, you started, probably because I started on the inside and you just did that and you were like, wait, that's not what I want to do. So we're just going to fold this back. You don't have to do the stitch line, but I think you're going to be happy you did because these corners, you know, they're going to be okay. Not going to be as good as some welt pockets. Just waiting for my iron to heat up. Okay. Just pocket fabric all over the floor. Okay. So now we're just gonna lay the zipper behind here and stitch it down. And I'm looking at this stitching over here and I'm gonna get rid of these little threads. You know, actually what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pull the tails of these threads to the inside. I think that'll tame them way more than clipping them. Let's see, where's this one at? You know what I mean? If I clip it, it'll just pop out still, you know? So if I need to find this one end. 1, 2, do I have 4 now? Yeah, so now I have all those ends to the inside. Oh, hi, Ray. Zipper pocket on the fly. Yeah, really. Oh, now I just almost trimmed those and I would have thwarted all my efforts there. How's it going, Ray? All right, so we're going to do the zipper up method. And we're gonna center our zipper in here. Give yourself enough room to get around the zipper. I finally get to use my pins, my new pins. This is so awkward. I hope you thought of doing this before your whole jacket was sewn, because it's really awkward. Oh my gosh, I don't even know if I can pin it. Can I pin this? I think I just need to start sewing, sorry. It's just easier for me. Between the hump of my machine bed and, all right, let's just lay that in there. And I'm just gonna top stitch it in. We're not doing a fancy old zipper welt pocket with lining stitched to the edges. So I'm trying to center my zipper right now. Once I get sewing, it'll be easier. I hope. Phew, okay. Now I can arrange this. I'm gonna hold this zipper tape here straight and parallel to the edge. Pull the zipper down. I thought it was up at the top. My stitch length feels a little long. I feel like I'm jumping. Remember, this is on the fly, not the zipper fly. I'm making this look so much harder. Everybody go back to your spots. Stop it. Okay, there we go. I was hung up on my feed dogs. You might want to use a zipper foot. I don't really like mine, so you don't see me use it very often. I'm gonna just cut some of the zipper off so it's not in the way. Here we go. Trying to center these teeth in the middle down here. All right, turn. Sometimes I like to lift this up and then I look at that, you know, the seam allowance and make sure that maybe I can pull it a little bit more, especially when you're talking about like clipping these corners here, because you probably can't see very well on these cameras that like how good or not good it is, and it's okay, it's not great, so that's why I'm kind of pulling my seam allowance a little bit more. So if you have some pretty ratty looking corners there and you're doing a jacket like this with a zipper like this, let me tell you, you can kind of cover that up by doing a bar tack across the end there. And I'll bet if you look at any outerwear jacket, that's what they do. It's a great way to cover stuff up, all in the name of making it look more secure, right? Lurking and pouting. What's wrong in Ray world? Okay. All right, so that's not too bad for on the fly, right? And so now our zipper's just stitched here. So now if this was really pokey or the hand is going to come in contact with this, you could maybe put a little piece of, you know, binding or even a ribbon. It doesn't even have to be pretty. I wouldn't pick something that's thready, but just, you know, cover it up and it will be a little bit more soft. Let's just do a little piece here. There we go. Some nice little ghosts. I'm just doing it really for, like, I've done these really nicely, you know. This time I'm not. I'm just going to stitch it across, although I wouldn't mind it being a little bit narrower. Well, let's leave the ghost faces. Just something like this. But you could do a nicer clean finishing the edges. With the binding, you don't really have to worry about it. They don't unravel because it's binding. If you're doing a brass zipper, be careful when you're sewing across the end. So there we go. We have that inside there, protecting his widow hand. All right, so now, could I get a pocket all the way across here? Probably could. Maybe I don't even need my pocket fabric, but why not, right? Oops, sorry. It has pockets, of course it does. You know, and then we can just stitch this here at the sides and then straight across. You know, that's what I was talking about before. Because then you don't really need to attach the fabric to this opening here. It's the quick and dirty way. So let's just cut a piece that's like, we'll make it like this big. We're loving the rogue pocket. It's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna use the print as my guide. Finishing those cocoon bags and seeing everybody have them now is definitely giving me the lit a fire under me to finish those fabric designs, and I've been kind of like cleaning up the spoonflower stuff because it's pretty much my only one that I've successfully loaded. I'm just gonna cut this here. All right. So I'm going to need to be able to stitch across the jacket though. It's my only thing here. And I'll just do that maybe from the right side. All right, so and remember this is in the lining, so we don't really care about the edges being finished. If you're using a fabric that is just like running away from you, unraveling, you're going to probably want to finish it, you know. So I get fire updates to my phone. Okay. Make sure that if you're doing like this vertical style, you add a little bit of a drop to your pocket, meaning so there's a room for things to kind of drop in. This is so rogue. I'm just gonna stitch it down. All right. I think this fabric is the I want to say it's the sateen grand or something like that. Because when I do samples, typically what I do is use one of their fill a yard things, and I'm pretty sure that's what this is. It's really nice. It's kind of slimy at first, but it's nice. Did that sell you on it? All right, so I've already top stitched this seam allowance over here, so it's gonna be a little tricky for me to get a bite in there. Wouldn't this have been great if we really had thought about this earlier? Thank you, Ray. I love this fabric. I need to use it more. So yeah, when he opens his pocket, that's what he's gonna see. It's going to be Nancy. It's uploaded today, but I'm pretty sure I need to print it again. Whoops, I don't want to do that yet because I need to print it before I'm allowed to sell it. I want to check it. Isn't it too big of a pocket? Well, I mean, we're doing the best we can, but not really. It feels pretty good. You could make it a little smaller though. Let's see. We're getting this on our side seam over here. That's what we were doing. So let's pick this up like this. Fussy, fussy, fussy. Okay. So I'm gonna reach inside my jacket and make sure it's all nice and flat so that I get the whole pocket on there. Just like this, see, in here? I'm just making sure this is nice and flat since we're kind of cutting this to fit on the fly. Oh my God. Please do this before you sew your jacket together. I'm just gonna stitch this in the, stop it please. Oh my gosh. Dang it, I hate that. My zipper got caught in here. If you're ever buying an industrial sewing machine and you get to be there when they're assembling it, ask them to make this as flush as possible. This right here. You can't tell, but it's literally almost the thickness of my finger. Look at this. Like, look at that, right? So it's the width of my handles. And it's really annoying. And some are better and some are worse. So if they have any control over it, you get them. Do it for me. You're thinking about oh, my zipper's getting caught in there again. You're thinking about so many things when you're nervous about ordering your machine, and that's probably the last thing on your mind because you haven't maybe even used one to know it'll do that, you know? So I'm just stitching this into the side seam allowance here. Like this. We're going to trim off the excess now. Like that. And now let's stitch across the pocket so that we actually have a pocket. We can't skip this part. Like this. I'm gonna get right up to the seam, side seam here. It's not the sexiest way to do that, but we just added the zipper. We just added value, right? Oh, God. It's not as flat over here. Oh, my gosh. Okay. See that? You saw nothing. All right, let's see how our pocket looks. Oh, that's right. This is stretch fabric, too. Okay. Oh yeah, baby. Nothing for the best for my patootie. Okay, so now let's put our seam back in. We only have the hems left, by the way. We're almost done. We just added, that only took us a half hour, right? Adding that. Hi, Angela, how's it going? Yeah, see, I'm wondering if it Like, what determines that? You know? What is it that determines that? I don't have my other machines here anymore. Like, I sold them, so I can't, like, compare. But this one is definitely bigger than my old machine. And Rayanne's was better than this. So she had this style of table. I had a really old table. And hers was better than this one, and mine was way better than this one. So I don't think it's the table, is what I'm trying to get at. Just looking at these little threads. That is on the right side, isn't it? Okay, so let's trim those. Put this one in the seam allowance. I love doing stuff like that. All right. Let's see how it looks. Oh my gosh, there's so much going on here. There we go. Except for the zipper not matching and, you know, being a little on the fly, it looks pretty good. I don't know why this little corner looks funky on the camera. It looks okay here. But yeah. Bar tag. Yeah, bar tag would be really good. And you can actually do it, don't do it now, but you could have done it before I attached it to the jacket. So it doesn't matter if it goes through all layers of your pocket lining because no one's accessing above and below, so you don't have to worry about that. And you know, bar tack is just a tight zigzag on your machine. I'm sure you have several garments that have all kinds of different bar tacks. All right, so we talked about also top stitching this. Ooh, I might make, look at that seam there. I'm gonna enclose that a little better so that you can't see my old stitches. This size 18 needle with this ripstop, it's not the biggest fan of it. So let's enclose those old stitches in there. You gotta remember, my husband worked in the outdoor industry too. He definitely has his eye on some of this stuff. I remember the first time he went into a Victoria's Secret, and I had mentioned to him, I was like, dang, the technology of the stuff they sew here is incredible. And then the next time he went in with me, he doesn't have any problems going in stores like that. It's been years since I've been in one, but he was like, look at this bra. How did they do this? I don't even understand how they did this. I'm like, right? And we sat there for like a half hour looking at all the ways they sewed things. He's no sewing expert, but he knows what's sewing and what's not sewing, and these were welded. And it's like when welding in garments was coming out, and we were just like fascinated. All right, there we go. All right, so I think that I would really like to top stitch the lining on the facing here. I think it would look really nice. Well, let's get a little glimpse of how it's looking. Plus, it would push my little label there. So, really, Nancy? Oh, Martina, thank you. You saw nothing right. Ta-da! 1/16 of an inch. Your machine sits below the table. Yeah, see, I think mine was like that too. Do you have the problem with pins sitting in here? 'Cause sometimes that can be a problem too. All right. We got to switch our thread. And I think we're all done with gold, right? I think we're all done with gold. Everything's looking pretty good here. We didn't have to sew a whole lot of the gold. so we can put it back. So I think I have one of those, and I have it in my home cabinet. And it works pretty good. You have a mat though, the grid glider. Nancy is definitely one of our go-to folks for sewing gadgets. Probably just hem this the way they have it since we've spent so much time on this. But today went really good. Like I was like, ooh, this jacket looks far from being done. So I'm really glad that it was actually really close. I kind of hoped to put some snaps on today, but I don't know if we'll get to it today. Maybe I could do a cuff or something. All right, so let's see how this is. Oh boy, this is a big jacket. All right, so the instructions recommend that you press this seam allowance where your lining joins the facing toward the lining. I'm doing the opposite of that, and that's mainly because of my label at the top. So, and obviously you can do either, so. I probably can't make it all the way around. We're gonna have to stop and pick up at some point because of the way we attached it. I need room. It's a big jacket. This is why I don't need an upper body workout. People say sewing is their superpower, and I'm like, well, it's my workout routine. If I only had one for my lower body, I'd be set. And my cardio. Although, man, I got winded going up the stairs today because I had to wear an N95 mask outside. And, oh, man, that thing was tight. All right, so I'm getting kind of in this shoulder hole area right now. So I'm trying to get as far as I can just so that back stitch is kind of, you know, somewhere nice. But the sun is burning off the smoke. I'm sure that's not what's happening, but the wind is probably adjusting it, which is great. Hi, Penny Pinch. You're coming out of hiding. Oh, that's awesome. Good for you. Buttonholes make us all sweat. Plastic material grips on the table, you can peel it up. Oh. That's very intriguing. I wonder if it could fill in my gap, you know? All right, so am I going to be able to get in there? How far did I get? I only got to there. Ooh. Oh man, I should have sucked it up and done a little further. Oh, okay. Get a treadle. All right, so, maybe I should have gone a little further. I'm gonna try and go a little further. It just, you know, basically it just sucks doing this. That's all. That's just how it is sometimes. No pain, no gain, right? All right. I'm back where I left off, and I'm just gonna ooch, ooch, ooch until I can get a little bit further toward the shoulder. Right? You know, lately I've been gravitating towards doing more snaps, and it's not because I don't, I mean, yeah, doing the buttonholes yeah, it's like a lot of work if you have to like fix one or whatever. But at the same time, I just don't like getting the machine out and doing it 'cause it's under the table. And I'm kind of liking snaps. Kind of just for something different. I think when you've done certain things a lot, it's fun to do something totally different. Whoops. Sometimes my hand hits the back tack. All right, this is doable. I should have just kept going. All right, so let's see here. Just gotta make sure, I think where at one spot back there, my seam allowance split, and so I had to correct it. So it's probably not all on the facing. All right, so we're actually really close to my label, so we get a gold star, and now we're allowed to jump around the armhole here. See, look at that. Oh, easy peasy. Okay. Remember, make your pleat perpendicular, even when you're top stitching. Here we go. Into the long dark of the shoulder hole. All right. My shoulders match pretty good for how we had to sew them. All right, how far can we get? Further than we think. That's the answer. So keep going. Just keep stitching. Just keep stitching. Oh, this one's old, Nancy. What speed? It's your first day of smoke. It's been really bad today. This is our worst day. I can like it's in my building. I almost wasn't sure I could stream, but it was fine. When I got into my building, I was like, oh, it's better than at our house. This building must be more airtight than our house. So, auto carrot. You're gonna do zips next, yay! You know, there's so many different styles of sewing zips, and some of them are just not that hard, you know? I find that lapped zippers, the ones I was brought up sewing, lapped zippers and keyhole zippers with the style of zipper that I put into this jacket, into that pocket, this one right here, those are hard. Those just don't look good. They're kept behind the counter. Oh, so maybe ask. Yeah, so this one is left over from the campfire. It was still in a package, and we just kind of held on to it. So my husband and I have been sharing it. He's just used it. It's the one from the shop, like the one he works in the shop, like his dust mask. Is it his dust mask? No, he has one for that. What is this one? Because he doesn't wear this all the time. He has like the white firm kind he puts behind his mask, but this one is different. You know, it's actually an N95, and it's great for when it's smoky here. All right, have I gotten far? I've gotten far enough. I'm allowed. I am allowed. I don't even need to backstitch because I'm just gonna pick back up. All right, so we're just gonna pull this out and jump over the sleeve, armhole area. There it is. Look at that. Oh, home stretch. Let's hope I didn't catch the jacket anywhere in that. Considering it's waterproof, that would probably be a bad thing. That pocket fabric works pretty good on this. I like it. Okay. Oh, here we go. It felt twisted, and it was. Okay, that looks good, right? Having the stitching there, you can't even see it. Oh, yeah, that's the worst part, Terry, is that it just feels like it lingers. Didn't I start and stop over here a couple times? No, what is this white thread? Oh, that's fine. Wait, there is another one. When I thought the going was tough and I wasn't even barely in there. Where is that? Well, I don't see it. Maybe I already clipped it? Oh, there it is. Okay, so I already clipped it. All right, cool. Yay. So our jacket is pretty much fully finished up here. The last things you're gonna do are, if you didn't do the stitching where I attached the 2 layers of the flap in the inside in the seam allowances, if you didn't do that, you're gonna need to stitch in the ditch or top stitch through. I kind of want to do that. I'm not gonna lie about that. I kind of want to. I kind of want to go all the way around, but this is pretty thick right here since I put my zipper tape straight through. I didn't fold it back, and here's the pitfalls of that, is that this seam does not go up into the neck. It goes down into the body, and so that folded back on itself, so we learned something there. All right, so now we have only the hem left. I love it, Penny. Penny pinch. I love that idea. Yeah, autocorrect does know nothing about sewing. I don't understand how sewing is the 3rd largest or 2nd largest industry in the whole world, and autocorrect doesn't know the word sewing. Like, come on. All right, here is our hem. So I agree. I think like the idea of having a little bit of a blouse there in your lining, a little bit of slack is great for movement and stuff. I think I'm gonna trim mine at this edge here. I feel like I'm getting rid of that slack, so I'm not sure why. Was there supposed to be a pleat in this? You know? Oh, what speed? Well, I don't know. I don't know. It's the default speed. So usually this little amount here, because see, like, if I line this side seam up, if I trim a little bit, then I'll still have a little bit of blousing, you know? But I can't just make this, I mean, unless I cut this at an angle, right? I lift this up to the fold line of the hem, right? And then I would have this nice blousing here. But I still need to fold it right here. So you see what I mean? So do I trim all of it off? I feel like I'm just gonna just do a straight line. Let's see how bad it is on this side. Look at how much it is on this side. That's kind of a lot. I don't like that. Let's check out this side seam on this side. Yeah, look at that. Everything seems flat. It doesn't seem like it's twisting. And the hem is 2 inches. That's 2 inches. They do it very standard, Libby. They just go like this. Pretty simple. I know, because I was thinking about like, do I do a whole like thing, you know, finishing it? But that's not really, like, it's not really built in there, you know? So I think I'm just gonna go with it. But I need to trim this down. I don't like the idea of that. Oh my God, this jacket's so big. Yes, that's 2 inches there as well. Hi, Laura, welcome. We're almost done with our utility coat. Like, I don't like the idea of trimming this much down here, this one off all the way to there. I think that's what's going to happen though. But I also don't like that because what's going to happen is the ripstop will look crooked. Could I have probably eased some of that in? Yeah, if I'd known to ease some of that in, I could have probably. I'm going to look at it inside out. Okay. What is that thread? Do you guys ever remember that Peanuts movie? I kind of hated it. It was really sad to me. Where, I'm not sure where, is it Charlie, maybe it's Charlie Brown, I think, goes somewhere and Snoopy can't join him. And the place has this no dogs allowed thing. And they keep going, no dogs allowed, no dogs allowed. Do you remember that? That gets stuck in my head when I think of something, you know, no threads allowed. I don't want to trim that much off. It all looks okay. Shoulder seam, 1/8 of an inch off. Acceptable. Shoulder seam, 1/8 of an inch off. Acceptable. I'm totally acceptable of that. It's not the 2 inches I'm off at the bottom. For me, it autocorrects to the word seeing, like you're seeing something. Do you fold it up? Yeah, see, here it is. Place the lining flush with the bottom fold, so the hem. All right, I think we're trimming. Thanks, Angela. All right. Let's do it. Let's look at this up here too. I'm gonna hold the jacket and kind of see. I want to know. So this is how much is down here. So could I do this, you know, and then fold it up? Well, yeah, but I have to have it lined up here, you know? Kind of torn right now. I don't like this much being off right here. And it's not the stretch. Like there's barely any going, there's not really any going vertical. Oh no. I wish it was symmetrical, you know? No, Megan, it shouldn't, because I used the same seam. It's the same seam whether you put the casing on or not, because it's like this really gigantic seam allowance on the inside, and then that becomes the casing, so it's the same seam. It could, I mean, I may not have gotten it quite right, but then my seams, my waist seam and my yoke seam would have been probably off going across the jacket. So I'm wondering if it's just a really subtle amount that's stretching through here that just isn't very obvious. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just gonna go for it. Ah! Would the casing have needed more? No. No, but what's interesting about that waist casing is that it only cinches your outer jacket. Right? Yeah, because you have to put your cord in. If you're doing that casing, make sure you put your cord in before you hem it. You lost the bet. All right, so I think I'm gonna take this to the ironing board just so I can get a straight line. Bye, Martina. Thank you. You're just gonna miss the hem, that's all. No biggie. Look at that. That's a lot. I'm going to check the center fronts. I mean, I've zipped it up several times, so I'm actually not suspicious. Yeah, look at that. Those are fine. All right, this just has to happen. Everything's gone so well, except for that, you know, day we don't talk about. So if I could pin this to the jacket, I would, and then get a nice straight line. I would also do this on my bigger table and get the whole jacket laid out flat, you know? I'm going to use I'm going to draw a line 2 inches up from the finished hem. This will get inside the hem because it's going to go over it. I'm holding that secure. Of course, I dropped my ruler. Let's start it from over here now, and then we'll try and meet the other side. You would just turn it up. You gotta like trim that so that, could I hem separately? I can't because the facing isn't finished. The bottom edge, which is probably really hard for you to see on the screen. But look. I mean, this one isn't stitched. I stitched it. You're supposed to stitch in the ditch right here. And same here. See this one? It's raw. So usually, yeah, I would probably do this whole thing where I can enclose this hem and you sew it right sides together, and you would go through like a side seam or the armhole seam. All right, so let's see where our line is lining up. Feeling very constricted for space right now. Definitely don't want to do it too short because then it'll pull up my jacket. The good news is this hangs inside the hem though. Meaning this is the fold line. It has to go all the way up to here, you know? Oh my gosh. Okay, so that was about right there. Okay, it's there. Probably looks terrible on your screen how I'm doing this, but trust me, I am checking. It goes up there more. All right, I'm going for it. I'm going to trim this little edge here first. It was just kind of dipping below my seam right here. That's all. Actually, oh, never mind. I was going to do it from the other side so I don't cut my jacket, but no jacket. See that? I'm going to make sure you guys aren't shouting at me. I got this idea, Kate, from Nancy. She uses them because they're washable. I like how, you know, precise they are. I love the Chaco liner too, but the yellow, you know, this thing, the yellow doesn't come out of most fabrics or all fabrics. So like this, it doesn't matter because it's going to be on the inside, but it would be my choice if I could. All right, it's done. YOLO. I kind of want to overlock this edge and just turn it up and top stitch it, you know? I think that would be lay fat nicer, you know what I mean? I think that's what I'm going to do. If my fabric folded more crisply, I would probably do the fold 3/8 and then, you know, fold on the 2-inch line and top stitch. But because this fabric, it's kind of, it doesn't fold crisp. Like this would fold really nicely. This doesn't. I think just folding it once it'll perform better. It feels a little bit of a shortcut cheat, but I think it'll overall be a better job. Okay, so I'm gonna, come here. Machine's too far away. Can you guys see okay? A little bright. I feel like I gotta be really careful because I am wearing the dress that I serged down the middle. So I feel like it's my omen, you know? I can't get this thing on half the time. Do you see it? My machine's moving. Doesn't matter that I got it on a vibration pad because now it's just traveling. All right, this is the seam's gonna go that way. And I think I will stitch this a little bit further right here. Yeah, cool. All right, one more step. Are you guys ready for this? Oh, do you, Shanika, so what's the deal with those? Are those like the kind that when you iron it, it disappears? Yeah, it's so true, Nancy. Nancy. Yeah, it's so stressful. Nah, this is nothing. All right, so there's that one little spot that I want to sew this right here. I just want to sew, because I'm not doing the stitch in the ditch thing. I'm going to sew continue sewing this flap together. And if you are confused by this, you just got to look back on the end of Saturday's stream and the beginning of this one, because I feel like this is going to be a good idea. Okay. I think it's better than stitching in the ditch, to be honest. If you can't really top stitch, then this is a good alternative. Just don't stitch through the garment. All right, so now we have our edges all ready to go, and we're going to make sure our center fronts match. Oh, really, Nancy? They're erasable. Oh, like, oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I know quilters really like them, right? I've only really seen the yellow of the Chaco liner stick around, too. But see, now that looks quite a bit different. Let's zip it up. I'm taking way too long for this, aren't I? I just want to make sure, because this is it. So zip up your jacket. Let it all lay down. Yeah, so we could probably just make sure that I want to trim that off, to be honest. And the reason being is that if I could fold the hem up so that they match one another, you know, and then kind of fiddle with my stitching line so that the stitching lines still meet up, you know. That's funny, Nancy. All right, so I'm going to, speaking of the Chaco liner, now you got me all paranoid, but I feel like this just brushes off on this fabric. And I'm doing this on the fold line for the most part. There we go. Okay. Right, exactly, Kate. I want to fold it right along that. See that? It does look pretty good, doesn't it? So now my dilemma right now is that I'm using this waterproof thread. So do I sew it from the right side? I can just clip it all. I can't pin it, you know? Let's put a few landmark spots in. I'm proud of myself. The real test is, will he wear it, right? He wears the cargo shorts a lot, so that's a good sign. I kind of want to make sure I get some of these threads out of here too, you know, some of these bigger offenders that are loose. Most jobs, just like anything, are all prep, right? So I feel like you could spend a lot of time, you know, prepping this, and then it'll just take a few seconds to finish it up. And that's like most jobs, you know. So this one wants to fold about right here. I'll pull the serger tail in there. Okay, so let's get that folding there. Threads, threads everywhere. They don't care. They're letting down their hair. All right, so I lost my little center mark on the hem. It is candy though. I can see my fold, which is great. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good. This all lays like it just wants to do it. Always a good sign, you know? My last little fussy thing right now is the overlap at the center front. I'm gonna let this lining go that way a tiny bit. Have you ever seen me measure for a hem so diligently? Aren't you guys proud of me? Can we do it from the right side? Right, Penny? Let's get rid of some of these. Let's just stitch them into the hem so that I make sure All right, so this, like I said before, I would probably, if I knew how this was all going together originally, I would maybe do this hem a little bit cleaner. Cleaner the right word? Because like having this little like opening right here isn't like I'm not thrilled with that. I might even like hand stitch that shut. And I'm stitching from the right side because I'm using this weird thread. So that's the only reason I'm doing that. All right, you don't have to worry about your zipper because the it's so high up. I was just thinking about like, is this where I want my stitch line? I think it is. I'm feeling the ridge of my hem. What is that? Is that a tuck? How rude. Okay, it's gone. Sometimes your sewing can be really rude, you know? It acts like you're not killing yourself over it or something, you know? I don't want any diagonal twist lines. It feels so thick, I keep thinking I'm catching the whole jacket, and it's just because I can feel the lining under there. Halfway. Looking good. If you're also worried about torque and diagonal lines, sometimes what I do is I pull my garment like this when it's under the machine. And why I do that is I'm not trying to stretch it and force it. What I'm trying to do is keep it all like perpendicular to the machine and away from the machine so that we're not letting anything happen, you know? Oh, with my scissors, okay. I can feel the ridge. All right, so I'm on my front, and I'm thinking now about my stitch lines meeting and being, look at that, that looks really good. I want the stitch line right here to line up. Oh, I don't like that little tuck and the fact that I could see this little opening right here. How dare the garment, yeah. So let's see here. Let's lay this on here. And so my stitch line is going to be a little lower than, like where I stitched on here is right at the top of the serging, and on this one it's going to be at the bottom. And remember, like I showed you, that 1/4 of an inch different. So this is how I'm mitigating it and kind of getting it in there without having to trim and reserge that whole edge, you know? And if you're really, really careful, you can make sure that doesn't happen. I'm being mostly careful. All right, so here we are. All right. And see, we're still on here really well. It's just we stitched it a little lower and the other one a little higher, and they look the same. Oh, hi, Tammy. How's it going? Yeah, we just finished. You're here for the best part. You're right on time. You knew. All right, so there's my chalk. Let's look at the inside here. That looks nice. I'm actually really glad I went with the overlock. It's nice and flat, you know? There is something to be said about it being one layer that kind of is nice. I still have these threads here. So I'm not really that happy with this right here. See, there's a little, I know some of you are out there will be like, oh my God, don't worry about that. But it's just like, after all that, you know? So what could I do to fix this? I could take this out and then, you know, since this is sticking out ever so slightly. And so what happened was when I started sewing, I know exactly why this did this. When I started sewing, the thickness of this, it kind of chugged a little to get going, and so it pushed this whole layer, because you know your presser foot's like pressing the fabric, and it's a nice little like edge for it to, wait, where is it? For it to push, right? So it just pushed this edge, and that's why I have a little tuck here and this hanging out. So I could unstitch it, but you know, here's the reality. When it's zipped, I might fix it. When it's zipped, it's covered completely with the flap. So let's see how I did lining it up, because I'm a little nervous about it. Let's see. Oh, that looks pretty good. Okay, yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, that stitching lines up. That's great. Oh, it doesn't line up that great. It's okay. It's okay. It could be a little lower down, and this one could be a little higher, maybe, you know? So if you wanted to fuss with that, you could fuss with that, but here we are. We're done, except for snaps. Not bad. Nice, Tammy. That's way more important. All right, let's try it on. It wasn't made with love and swear words per se, but it definitely was made with love and drama, huh? That's what that label says. This fits me really good. It feels nice. Here's my inside pocket. Oh yeah. I might fix that, yeah. This looks so low on here. Maybe it could have been higher? There wasn't much space in there for that. It works down here, but doesn't it look kind of low? Yeah. Yeah, let me face the window so you can get the light. It's very, very comfortable. I have to say, it's actually really, really comfortable. So if I zip this up, is the microphone bugging you guys? All right, it fits me really well, except when it goes over my hips. It is not a women's shape, but it definitely zips up, no problem. All right, I wanted to see how the collar is. So I think for a guy, this collar would probably, or a larger neck. It's not snapped, but it will be. It looks so short in this camera view, don't I? Yeah, it's really nice. I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot, actually. Yeah. This was a pretty straightforward sew, too. I like the way the sleeves hang, because they're a little drop-shouldered. I'm into it. Well, bam! Goes with my dress really good today. Mic drop. Sorry. I know. I think so too, Tammy. Get rid of some threads. It looks good. Oops. Meow. It looks good. So can you see how the sleeve, how it lays because we didn't push the seam allowance towards? It's not bad, it's just, you know, the difference instead of pushing the seam allowance toward. It looks like it's pulling a little bit, huh? How's this side look? Oh man, all these threads. Honestly, this should probably just never go to my house between our dogs and cats. All right, well that's it. Don't these look so crooked? Look how crooked these look. Is it just an optical illusion? I don't think so. I think this one's pulling up and this one's pulling down. I could fix this one. After all that, the labels look so funky. Yeah, I think he'll like it too. I can't wait to see it on him. And you know, if the sleeves are too long, I can shorten them by just taking off the cuff. Yeah, cool. All right, you guys. Well, that was fun. Oh, and yeah, right, Nancy? Oh, except that it's like 100 degrees here. All right, this is tomorrow's project. So this is my fleece. Soft. So look, see, this was one he retired and gave to my daughter, and then she was like, I don't want to take this, and I was like, I'll take that, because we could look at the sewing here. So I'll be making the Love Notions North Star pullover. Sorry, it's a little overexposed. This says men's sizing. I'm starting this tomorrow. We're cutting it tomorrow, and supposedly I'm sewing the whole thing. Oh shoot, I don't have my pattern tape together. Guess I know what I'm doing this afternoon. I was gonna look at the sizing for you. So we're cutting this tomorrow, and I'm sewing this whole thing on Saturday. All right, so this goes from a 34-inch chest to a 50-inch chest. That's what the person measures. And then the hips, do we worry about hips with the men's? The waist is 28.5 to 46 inches, hips up to 47.5 inches. There is positive ease on the garment. So I am hacking this a little bit, but I will say that on their website they have what I'm doing as a hacked version. So I feel a little bit like, okay, at least I'm staying within the realm of her pattern, because I hate it when I do someone's pattern, I've never sewn theirs, and then I just modify it, you know? So as if it's not good enough, because it is, it's a great one, and a couple of you recommended it to me and said they made some for people in your life and loved it. So I'm going to be doing this version without the kangaroo pocket, and I'm going to be stopping the zipper still here. So there's actually not going to be a yoke seam either, so no seam here. I could though, I could still do that and it would be easier to sew. But I kind of want to challenge myself and set this in, kind of like the Henley thing, you know, you guys are talking about. And yeah, I'm not sure my machine could sew this. Not with this. This fabric's much thicker, so I'm just not sure I can do all these techniques. But I do love the way they did the bottom on this. So they sewed the binding right sides together to the front, and then turned it to the inside, and then cover stitched it above where it finishes. I think that's pretty slick. I don't know, Terry, this is a PDF, so there was no envelope. I absolutely agree. There's a few indie pattern companies I've sewn this year, like Mimi G, the So Deaf patterns. That pattern, it's really thorough. Like if you ever want to sew one of her patterns, they're so thorough. She has so much really great information in there, but you have to go pages to find the finished measurements and a few other things. So you're like on page 17, I think, before you even get to sewing. So yeah, like if that one had an envelope, I'm like, okay, that would be nice. I really like everything on one page. And if you can't fit it on one page, I want to know why. You know, like, okay, I want the line drawing. I want the finished measurements. I want the pattern, the body measurements. I want the yardage, the notions. I want all that on one page. And I don't know what it is people are thinking, like, longer is better. I say this and I know people say my patterns are kind of long, but I do have a cheat sheet for all that. So yeah, Libby, I just noticed that I had like a 10-inch on the chest. Oh, cool, Shanika, that's awesome. Yeah, so in petite, did you catch those sizes? Because if you're petite, I don't know if there's a women's versions of this. I'll try and check by tomorrow though. And if I imagine there is a women's version of this in their lineup, and a kids version, because they do all of them. I'm trying to think who would, maybe Jolie has one. So yeah, anyway. Okay, so that's what we're doing tomorrow. I didn't wash this. I'm thinking better on it, so I'm going to wash it. I have a lot of fabric, and I don't recommend buying from these folks. I'll tell you more about it tomorrow. So, I mean, they're great fabric. The shipping was just crazy expensive. It came from Colorado. That's really close as shipping goes. So, anywho. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Sound good? Have a good one. Thanks for coming with me on this epic utility jacket journey. I think it looks amazing for a 3-part sew. And you know, if you weren't talking and hanging out and having sewing drama with your machine, it would be faster, you know? Let's see, am I gonna do anything to this without you guys? I might fiddle with the hem like Ray said. I'm gonna do snaps. I'm still thinking about a top stitch line here, but it's working correctly, so I'm just like, let sleeping dogs lie. So I think it's done, which is awesome. So thank you, Angela, thanks. Yeah, thanks you guys. Thanks for the donations from Ray, and I want to get the Thurl from Thurl. Thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate it. I will see you guys tomorrow. All right? Take care, you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.